This episode is with Nathalie Marchino, who's the VP of Sales at Techwolf.
Nathalie Marchino.
You represented the United States in the 2010 and 2014 Women's Rugby World Cup and in the 2013 Rugby Sevens World Cup. You also represented Colombia in the 2016 Olympic Games in Brazil. You was the MVP in the 2011 Sevens All-Star Tournament, 2011 15's Women's Premier League Champion, 2008, 2007 15's National Rugby Champion. Nice.
I grew up in Switzerland. I'd been in the US 21 years, and frankly, I think for me it was time to leave. So I moved over. We hired the first 4 people to join the team, and the rest is kind of history. I always wanted to be in a management position, but it was a challenge for sure. My first hire was the first person I had to let go.
Oh, wow.
I want everyone to be a starter, and when your call comes, I want you to be performing that way. And I think a good athlete or a good captain, a good leader will understand that.
Let's go. Hey, Nathalie. You all right, Nathalie?
Yeah, good.
Thanks. I'm good. I'm great. Thank you. Great. We've been talking already for like 7 minutes, so we're not going to pretend that we haven't already been speaking. It's great to get you on.
Yeah.
A long time coming.
It has been. I own that one. I'm sorry about that.
No. It's fine. It's been. I mean, you started a new role, didn't you, in early this year?
Yeah,
so
September.
Last year, yeah. So it's been all kind of heavy on terms of your diary and your calendar, right?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I didn't expect actually to travel that much, to be honest. So I thought, we could probably link up really quickly.
Yeah.
But a lot of conferences, a lot of events, etc. So yeah,
that's fun though, right?
It's been quite hectic. Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
Originally, I wasn't sure. Just that I hadn't gone to a conference like a Vegas type conference in a long time. And in my previous role where I did that once a month, it wasn't my favorite thing to do. But these have been extraordinarily interesting conferences, fun to go to, etc. So yeah,
nice.
It's not a bad thing.
Which is the best one you've been to?
Workday Rising.
Where's that one?
It was in Vegas in September. The event itself was great. It's week 3, learned a lot. Just jumped into the deep end, talking to customers, prospects, etc. Really get familiar with the space. But also, one of the keynote speakers was Michelle Obama.
Oh, I saw this. I saw this on LinkedIn, yeah.
Oh man, what a treat.
Was it good?
And it was awesome to see her live.
Nice.
Such a great speaker, so inspirational. Probably can fit her messaging to almost any industry. Mm-hmm. So while sometimes it's a bit general, still it sticks the landing. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's, has it always been a thing where these conferences invite someone like a celebrity like that? Because I don't know whether it's because I just wasn't aware of it, but you see someone like, I see Busta Rhymes at one of them last year. And then you see like, who was it? Magic Johnson. Was he at Salesforce?
I'm not sure.
But yeah, it's mad that they get these people to come and speak at like a HR tech.
Yeah, we had a British boxer at the one in the Netherlands. Super interesting. His name escapes me now, but just love hearing people's journeys and their creativity, how they get there, what they do with it. It's inspiring. Really.
Definitely. Well, look, we've known each other for a while now, haven't we? I think we first spoke. Do you remember when we did that interview? I did like an online interview with you for Black Tech Sales Network. It was probably
even 4.
It'd have been 2020, And that's the first time we met. So you've gone on from Figma, you've gone to Techwolf since then. So I'm looking forward to kind of digging into all of that. We're in the gym, so I would be not doing it justice if I didn't ask you kind of what your usual fitness routine looks like. You've got a big background in rugby, which we'll touch on. But yeah, what do you do now?
So calling it a routine would be generous, to be honest, but a few things that I do regularly. I've been boxing twice a week, roughly, for 4 years. I have an amazing coach. Shout out to Kathy Brown. She's the second woman to be licensed in the UK, and just like a legend, proper legend. So we box. It's non-contact. It's really for technique and to maintain a little bit of my fitness. I wanted to challenge myself in a sport that I knew nothing about. The footwork's different, the body positioning, etc. So I've loved it. I'm starting to finally get into a rhythm, and then try to run 2 or 3 times a week. Do push-ups and abs pretty much every day now.
Nice.
You catch me at a time where I actually do have a bit of a routine.
You sure you didn't get the routine because you knew this was coming up?
No, it's since December-ish, but it's suited.
No, it's good. I think trying new things. I said on the last episode that I've started to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu And I think it's putting yourself out of your comfort zone because this is my comfort zone, and I'm sure you're very comfortable in the gym. But doing boxing or doing some sort of martial arts is very different, isn't it?
Oh my God, I would love to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I love it. I love watching it. I just think with all the injuries I've had, it would be absolutely reckless. But yeah, you'll have to tell me more about your experience.
I'll definitely get into it more. I mean, it's difficult. It's very technical. I was telling you before, but I think you just got to keep going. Probably the same with boxing, isn't it? Each session, you just pick something else up, work on something else.
Yeah.
Chipping away. I've got like this obsession with chipping away at things, like looking at the end goal and then just breaking it down into small little things.
Yeah.
So this year I plan to go to 50 jiu-jitsu sessions. So I'm just looking at it as 50 is the goal. When I get to 50, then move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And see what happens within 50 sessions.
Yeah.
So each session, even if I don't pick something up and I'm a little bit uncomfortable, it's like fine, go to the next session. Hopefully by the 20th session makes more sense, and then 50th session even makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of giving yourself like a set amount of sessions.
Yeah, that's how I work. My brain's just like that. And then each session I go in my notes and tick one off. It's like a dopamine rush I get.
And now you got to get into a rhythm, like with the boxing even. A couple of weeks ago, we just did the bag, and all of a sudden something clicked, and I was like, oh my God, first of all, it's annoying. It took me 4 years for that to click.
Yeah.
But once you get that unlock, it's such an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I bet.
It gets me so excited to get to the next bit.
I love it. Should we do a few stretches?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just take you through some stretches. You tell me what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with just my favorite stretch, which is, you okay with a twist?
Yeah, this.
Twist like this. They call this the world's greatest stretch.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think you're supposed to do, so what the world's greatest stretch is, you go down, push your knee out, and come round. Okay. You go down, push your knee out, round. I don't know why it's called that.
Here's someone who wants to monetize it, keep up with it, maybe?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Trademarks it. We'll do the other leg. Do you do much stretching or mobility?
The reality is not enough for a really long time, but this is where I get myself in a bit of hot water. I basically had a few massages recently where every single massage therapist was like, your back is a mess, it needs help.
Yeah.
And it is a mess, it does need help. So I just started incorporating a lot more stretching into my routine. So I try to do some stretching every day now, but it's a little too late, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. We'll
should have started 20 years ago.
Spinal twist.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was part of the training routine when I was training full time.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I definitely let that part go. And you can tell, I mean, today is not that bad, but sometimes I can't even touch on the opposite end, the far end. So I'm pretty stuck.
Yeah, I've got to the point now where if I don't stretch before a session, I just feel everything. Like, even this morning, I went to the hotel gym and did some stretches, stretched out. Nice. We'll do some, what do they call them?
Downward dogs? No.
Yeah, it's not downward dogs.
No, it's like cobras.
Cobras, yeah, cobra press ups. It's a good job I'm not on PT anymore, isn't it?
You did warn me. That's funny. Downward dog. It's basically the only
we'll go back into downward dog and then we'll touch toes.
Yeah, I did stretch before you came in earlier too.
And then last one we'll just do knees apart and then bring your arm through. Get upper back stretch.
You can't hear, but everything is cracking.
The mic might pick it up.
Yeah.
Right, so workout today. What we've got. So we've got front squat. You okay with front?
Yeah, we can
Give it
do
a go. Front squat, then we'll do reverse lunges with some hanging leg raises just to get the abs in. Then we'll do some bench press with pull-ups on the row, on the rings.
Yeah.
Then we'll do bent over row with a half kneeling dumbbell press, and then at the end we'll do a finisher, which is a rowing machine and some dumbbell lunges.
Yeah. My favorite, as you know, I love rowing.
So first thing I want to speak about is, well, you're the first person to come on Sweat the Sales stuff who's got a Wikipedia. So I was doing a little bit of research on your Wikipedia. So you was born in Colombia.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you went, what it says, tell me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
It says you went to the States in 98.
Correct.
And then you got into rugby in 2005.
That's correct.
Yeah. Why did you get into rugby? Like, what was because there's so many sports in the US, isn't there?
Yeah, indeed. Well, so I grew up in Switzerland and then I moved to the US to play basketball in college.
Okay.
So summer, randomly went to the US for a few camps and decided I was going to move there and try to get a scholarship. So I did my last 2 years of high school in the US, got a scholarship, 4 years of Division I basketball there. During that time, one of my roommates, after the season ended, joined the rugby team at Siena College. I had just been brought back. They hadn't had a rugby program in years. Mm-hmm. I went to see a game and I was like, absolutely not. Not my vibe, never doing that. Why would people do this?
Yeah.
Mind you, I was a super physical player, so I don't know why it didn't connect with me at the time. Long story short, one of her friends invited me to a basketball game when I moved to DC. And she invited a bunch of rugby players and they were like, you need to come and play rugby. I was like, no, I'm just really not interested. And they just showed up at my place one day and they were like, here's some cleats, here's a mouth guard, we're going to teach you how to tackle. And then I was hooked. I mean, I love tackling so much. I joined the same time as another woman who was there for the first practice. She never came back. Like, the two of us just tackled each other for like 2 hours. I was like, okay, when do I get to tackle her again? She's like, never returned. Like, maybe overdid it a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the hook for me. I just loved the physicality, and then had my first like Division II match. Scored on my first timeout. So then I caught the bug. Yeah.
No, looking back.
Yeah.
Well, what was the state of the rugby in the US at the time? Because obviously it's still growing now, right? I think it's still kind of seen as it's seen as American football without the pads, isn't it?
Yeah. Little do they know, it's football is rugby with pads.
Yeah.
There's the whole thing of every May the 4th, like 4th of May, there's a meme that comes out. It's like, football, I am your father, and it's like rugby as Darth Vader. But yeah, when I joined, I mean, it was all kind of really grassroots, just people that are subsidizing their own addiction, if you will.
Yeah.
And we're just traveling around as much as we could. There's not a ton of clubs around the metropolitan areas, so you just, I played in DC initially.
Yeah.
And how many are we doing?
This was a warm-up set. Is this a warm-up set?
This is going to be my set.
Do you want them?
Yeah, this is fine. But yeah, so like if you play in DC, which is where I started, you don't have that many clubs there. So we had Northern Virginia across the river. But if you wanted to get a good competitive match, you're traveling to New York, you're traveling to Boston, etc. And you're doing that all on your own dime. Mm-hmm. So you really get a group of really passionate people playing the sport. I think at the time it was the fastest growing sport, maybe in the US or something like that, but of course like small base, so the growth is going to be bigger over time. But yeah, then I moved to San Francisco, and that's where I joined the All Blues, which was the club I played with for most of my career. Cool. And same thing there, like you just, have a job just to basically feed the addiction.
Mm-hmm. So you're working and playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just with a group of women that were doing the same, right? You just get a job so that you can play internationally. Yeah. There were a lot of women that were on the national team in that club, so that's where I also saw a pathway to potentially play internationally. And
so do you have to fund your own travel and?
Yeah, particularly in club, like there's just no funding.
Okay.
But then even on the national team, we did a ton of fundraising. It's not a very well-funded sport, at least at the time it wasn't as well-funded.
Yeah.
And so we did a ton of fundraisers. The amount of time I had to send an email to friends to be like, hey, can you chip in? After a while, I started getting almost a bit embarrassed. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna actually donate myself or whatever. But yeah,
if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Hey, that's true.
You can do more than that, right?
I'm not going to push it just because of my back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you don't have to hold back for
50.
me.
That's for the 15.
I won't be offended if you crush me in the gym, don't worry.
Before I do my set, I want to read out some of the things you accomplished in rugby, right? Because it's incredible what you was able to achieve. So you represented the United States in the 2010 and 2014 Women's Rugby World Cup and in the 2013 Rugby Sevens World Cup. You also represented Colombia in the 2016 Olympic Games in Brazil. And in some of the other accomplishments you had, you was the MVP in the 2011 Sevens All-Star Tournament, 2011 15's Women's Premier League Champion, 2008, 2007 15's National Rugby Champion. So when you hear me read those out,
you did your research.
How does it make you feel?
A bit shy. But of course there's a tremendous amount of pride that goes into a lot of it and makes me miss it. I think more than the list of accomplishments that you've read, there was a huge community behind it. A lot of my best friends are rugby players that I met through the different programs that I was a part of. And you lose that community when you stop playing. I really miss that. So that's what it brings up, especially like the 2013 World Cup year. We all lived together in Chula Vista. We trained full time. We became super close. Like, I miss those days. But also, it's like a lot of nostalgia. Like, we talked about it a little bit, but a lot of my values come from rugby. And so there's a lot of pride in hearing that.
That's amazing.
A lot of exhaustion too. I'm like, oh my God, remember all those workouts.
Well, do you stay in touch with many of the women you played with?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my best friends are from there. Unfortunately, they're all in the US. And so there's a lot of distance, obviously. But yeah, we talk as much as we can. We try to hang out. Sometimes we have a few reunions. We went to Palm Springs maybe 5 or 6 years ago to hang out together. We'd been to Denver before that. So we try to keep in touch. My best friend Venetia and I talk as much as we can.
I love that. You still got group chats and stuff?
Yeah. But it's funny, I mean, with some of them, we lived together when we were training full time. And so we got to know each other even at another level. And then when you're competing, when you go to the World Cups, you're in dorms together, like you would be in college. So you get to know pretty much everything about everyone on the team. And I miss that. I miss the bus trips. I miss the training sessions, just all the banter that goes with it, all the fun you have with it. Tons of skits, tons of costume parties. Yeah.
Well, rugby players are usually quite wild, so.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that when I joined, I don't drink beer. I really don't like it.
Okay.
And so I was a bit of an oddity in the rugby world because everyone drinks beer, really. Yeah. But also, I would just try to keep up with people with rum and cokes. And I learned really quickly that you really shouldn't do that. But, yeah, I mean, you definitely had some good parties.
Nice. How many is that?
5. And 4 cracks.
Yeah, we'll just take it easy on the squats.
Yeah.
What was it like going to the World Cup then? So in which countries was the World Cup played in?
The first one, 2010, was in England, Surrey. 2013, Moscow. 2014 in Paris. I didn't get to go to the 2006 World Cup. It was in Canada. I really wanted to travel there. I just didn't make it with work. And when we went to 2010, the players that had been in that World Cup would tell us it's incredible what England have done with the World Cup because they really professionalized it for women's. Yeah. Where everything was just run like a professional event, which for us was unusual, right? In the US, if we got 20 people in the crowd, they were all our partners and parents. And there was a really decent amount of people. It was packed, honestly, and the facilities were amazing. And there was like media centers, professionally run interviews, etc. So they really elevated the expectations for what a women's World Cup should look like. And then I'll talk about 15s for a second, but in Paris it was a notch higher. Like Paris took it as a challenge, was like, okay, fine, let us try to do better.
And they
really, really did. And every year the quality has gone up and up and up. So it's been amazing to see. Russia was a weird one because really hard to get to. So we played in the Olympic Stadium, beautiful facilities, but it was pretty much empty. It was hard to get visas for people to fly in, etc. There's like a whole lot of stuff that I'll skip over that made it difficult to be there in the first place. But a bit of a weird experience. Professionally run, like no issues, but a bit anticlimactic, especially because Sevens World Cups are men's and women's.
Got it.
So you'd expect you'd just kind of ride the coattails of the crowds that come for the men's games, but there was just no one in the stadium. I mean,
Even for the men's?
Yeah. You could hear yourself talk in echo.
Kind of like in here.
So like you're not running a stealth play, like everyone's hearing the play you've called because like literally it was so silent in there. Yeah. And so it was a bit of an odd one, which is a shame because we finished third there and like got on the podium really and everything and we're like cheering to no one. But yeah, it's only gotten better every year and it's really awesome to see the investment behind it. It's back in the UK this summer.
Okay.
So make sure to come.
Right, let me do, I think I'm doing 8. This is the first time I've front squat in a long time.
Nice.
So you mentioned before some of the values that rugby taught you. What are some of them that kind of, I guess, that you've stuck with for life, really?
I mean, the biggest one I think is honestly.
Tell me first, and then do yourself. You don't have to talk
about it. Sure. I'd say probably humility.
Yeah.
I love that rugby requires every player on the field to do their part. This is very much kind of the ultimate team sport. And if one unit is not operating as expected, it just affects the whole game plan. And so they're really not superstars in rugby. Everyone operates as this one unit with a common goal, common strategy. And I really love that aspect. But then the humility comes with, when I joined the All Blues, they had won like 9 consecutive national championships. And they were always like really quiet about winning. I mean, I don't know at the beginning, I wasn't there, but by the time I joined the club, when we won our first one, it was like, just be humble about it. Yeah. In a way, it was tough because I was a brand new player. I was so proud, like, hey, we won. We had lost the year before, the year I joined, and we get the title back. And it was like, don't wear your medals at the bar. Like, just be quiet about it. And then, interestingly enough, almost every coach I had after that was like, act like you've been here before, act like you've won before. And so when we played sevens, when we scored, we almost hardly celebrated. It was really interesting. But in a way, I've become kind of that quiet competitor, even at work. I always tell the story of one of my coworkers at my previous company. She would always send me the dials and be like, I'm crushing you. I would just never respond. And I would always send the dial at the end of the quarter when I ended up ahead. But I wouldn't even say anything about it. You just let the results speak for themselves.
But that's quite annoying to be up against.
But we talked a little bit about the book Legacy, and one thing it says is sweep the sheds. It doesn't matter how big you are, how long you've been in the program, everyone does their part. Yeah. And you still sweep the sheds. I really believe that. Try to be, even if you're super accomplished, try to act in a way where you're motivating people with your actions rather than your words. Well, sometimes words can help for sure, but of course. Rather than boasting, I suppose. And the usual stuff like dedication, preparation, I really, there's nothing can replace the 10,000 reps. Practice makes progress. And so if you don't put in the time, you don't get the results that you want. There's just no shortcuts. And it really taught me that discipline. You train hard, and if you want to cheat, you cheat yourself in the end. And so I really think do the reps, do them right. That only serve you in the long run.
It's like what we were speaking about before, isn't it? Just chipping away. So the 10,000 reps is such a good outlook on progress, I feel. Because I think people feel like they should, in anything, they feel like when they begin something, they feel like they should be in a certain position or certain place way before they naturally should be there. If your aim is 10,000 reps and you've only done, I don't know, 3,000 reps, then why would you be any good at it? Why would you be able to master that skill or that?
Even when you've done the 10,000, there's always room for improvement,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And I think it's important. I think with the 10,000 analogy, the thing to always attach it to is to do it right, because you could do 10,000 reps poorly.
That's so true.
And when people say practice makes perfect, I completely disagree. I think it makes permanent.
Yes.
And if you do your 10,000 reps wrong, that's what you're putting into your brain. It's much harder to break a habit than to create one.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And so, well, I mean, maybe there's science behind it, as far as I know, or my experience. And so I try to do things right. Sometimes it can be tough. I think you try to aim for perfection still, and sometimes you just have to do the thing a few times before you get it right, like boxing.
Completely
I've
agree.
now have so many sessions, and it only clicked 2 weeks ago, and I was like, are you serious? Like, sports is my thing. How long did I need to understand that I don't need to punch as hard to get a good land?
Yeah.
You know, but
I love it. I love kind of the journey of learning something new. I think it's frustrating sometimes along the way, but when you zoom out and you actually look at it in that way, I think you can see the small progress.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get your wins from. It's not the big, like they always say, enjoy the journey, don't they? So I think enjoying that small progress, each rep at a time, each session at a time, I'm beginning to come up with more obsessed with that. And I think it's such a good analogy on life too. You could take it into anything. So,
yeah, it's true.
Speaking of reps.
Yeah. You're like, you're not getting out of these. I thought you forgot. I wouldn't have been mad, I'll be honest. All right, let's see.
The cracks.
Hopefully the mic is picking those up. Oh my God. These are not even the good kind of cracks. They're just the grinding.
You feel okay though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to match you at 8.
This episode is sponsored by 6 Sense. In sales, timing is everything. Too early, silence. Too late, lost deal. 6 Sense fixes that by helping sales teams find a pipeline that's ready to close. Powered by AI, 6 Sense pinpoints exactly which companies are in the market for your solution, what they care about, how to engage, so you can stop chasing dead ends and start building pipeline that moves fast. Sellers, you'll get laser-focused insights, discover who's on the buying team, what they've been researching, and get recommendations on the best next steps to create and accelerate deals. No more cold calls, no more guesswork, just high-intent leads and clear steps to win. Trusted by Clary, Sage, and Cisco, 6 Sense helps sellers save time, create more pipeline, and close bigger deals. Fuel your sales team with AI-generated pipeline at 6sense.com. It's AI that builds pipe, not hype.
So I wanted to talk about, because you mentioned there around being a sports person. And when we spoke before, you said that you've hired people who have come from sporting backgrounds, and you kind of like people who have come from sporting backgrounds. Why do you feel athletes in general make good salespeople?
There's something to be learned from any type of sport. Just the discipline of it, the preparation of it, almost a little bit of the obsession with it. If you're really passionate, that really translate well into a professional role, because you really get immersed in it, and you really expect to perform well as an athlete, right? Like you're trained to expect the best out of yourself, and that will translate into your professional career. But then if you take it in the context of a team sport, I think there's another element there where people are collaborative by nature. Typically, they really understand how to work with others, how to get the best out of others, how to give their best, how to be part of a unit. I think in sales, and oftentimes people think of salespeople as highly competitive, kind of lone wolves, really self-centered, maybe a bit narcissistic by nature. I don't think that needs to be the same. That's not the case necessarily. For me, I want the team to compete in market and be a unit. Say, hey, we're competing against other companies, but I want us to compete as a unit together and elevate each other. And I think a lot of athletes think of, we're only as good as the last person on the bench. For me, I'm like, I want everyone to be a starter. And when your call comes, like, I want you to be performing that way.
Love that.
But the way you do that is when you have your great performers pull up the ones that need more training, et cetera. And I think a good athlete or a good captain, a good leader will understand that. So it's a mindset that is hard to teach in a professional capacity that just comes natural to athletes. That's really why I love athletes. And just randomly, this team I have now, there's like 3 rugby players, but they were hired before I joined. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God. I've had some rugby players in my teams previously, and other athletes. Like we had a professional golfer in one of the teams, like amazing guy. And it's just a mindset of I know if I put in the time, I will get the results. And so you don't always get that. And I think that is sort of almost in the DNA of someone that wants to perform at a high level.
Yeah. 8 reps in each leg?
Yeah. I'm going to go either 5s or bar. You mentioned you coach some rugby players.
Yeah.
What were your takeaways?
I think it's funny, the difference between rugby players and footballers is the willingness to do the hard stuff, like this in the gym, for example. I think footballers are kind of like a bit reluctant to do anything other than football, whereas rugby players, they see everything that's going to help them, everything they're doing, whether it's the gym, preparation, it's all going to help them on the field.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they look at it as I'm helping my teammate too. So it's like even in the gym, there was a togetherness of like, don't let your teammate down, do that extra rep.
Yeah.
And a few times I see people do less reps and he got called out, which I loved.
Yeah. I think I told you the rower is like my least favorite sort of cardio exercise.
What was that, sorry?
The rower is like my least favorite cardio
Yeah.
exercise. I think lunges might be my least favorite lift.
They're fine, no?
Yeah. You said they're fine the one time I didn't touch my knee to the ground. If someone could CGI a knee there, appreciate it. I lost count. I'm just going to do 2 more.
2 more?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. I'll put some weight for the next one. But
You okay with these?
yeah, I think so. How many do you want on these?
15. Easy. Nice. So you spoke about the rugby career, but then after that you went into tech sales, obviously, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because I think you said someone contacted you and there was a nice kind of story behind that.
After college, I joined Nestle. I was there for 7 years. I played rugby at the same time. And after 7 years, I went to Google for a now defunct product called Google Offers, RIP, and was there for a year. Mm-hmm. And that's when the call came in to go play with rugby professionally. So US was launching its first professional program. It was one of the inaugural sevens programs in the world. And we all moved to San Diego to do that. And after the year, I went to the World Cup, and then I went back to work. So I joined Twitter. And then while I was at Twitter is when I went to the 2014 World Cup, and then I didn't have a US passport. So I knew I wasn't gonna go with the US to the Olympics. I just thought the dream was over in a way. And then Colombia qualified. It was an amazing qualification match. Argentina was highly favored to win the game, and okay. Colombia basically pushed the girl out the back of the field when she was about to score, did a 22 dropout, regained, turned the ball over, and then scored. Time had expired. I mean, it was like an amazing thing. Wow. And a friend of mine's like, hey, you should call Colombia. I was like, no, I retired, like, there's no sense. And then of course I came back out of retirement, did that, and then when I came back is when right before I went to the Olympics is when I interviewed at LinkedIn. And the person who was hiring me there, I told him, like, look, Ken joined for 9 months. And I don't know what happened, but he was like, look, it doesn't matter, we'll wait for you. I really took an interest in my background, and I didn't interview previously with him. I didn't do well, honestly. Like, the interview was pretty catastrophic. And we didn't talk for a while, and then he called me back and he was like, we're gonna make it work this time. And anyways, I think that's what you're referencing, where he really took a chance on me. By the time I ended up joining, he'd already moved on to another job. He left 5 days before I joined.
Oh, okay.
But that was a really pivotal moment in my career because I joined a team of folks that were just so smart, so good at what they did. And one of the guys in particular, Martin, he would come in really early in the morning and I just didn't have rugby. Like I was completely disoriented. I was like, there's the joke of when you stop playing, you don't know how to run your life because you're not in a program. And I just heard one of the U.S. Women's soccer players say, like, she didn't even know when to shower because she was like, wait, when do people actually normally shower? And I was kind of like in that space where I just didn't know, which way was which. So I would show up at work at 6:30 in the morning. It was like, I have nothing else to do. Like, literally, what do I do now? And Martin was always there.
Okay.
And so he would just whiteboard with me and like kind of help me navigate the tech landscape and the HR buying landscape. And I learned a ton from him. It was awesome.
So I guess that was a nice lesson every morning, just to help you before the day started.
Yeah, with Professor Martin. And all this to say that that's when I really started paying attention to my career in sales. I think I mentioned this earlier. It was a means to an end initially. It's like, hey, how do I feed this rugby addiction? Like, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And, we're traveling across the country like several times a year to play other teams. Like but at that point I didn't have rugby, so I put all of that energy into work.
Yeah.
And it's, you were asking me what makes good athletes, good professionals. Like that needed to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being LinkedIn, and yeah, the rest is sort of, it's almost like career 2.0.
Yeah.
A bit of a rebirth.
That's amazing. Right, let's stick to the same reps. Should have taken my phone out of my pocket.
Say again?
I've got my phone in my pocket. I should have took that out. You counting? I'm not.
I think you're at 6, but we'll call this 6. 2 more on each side. I think it's actually a pretty close approximation, to be honest.
I'll do one more.
All right. Nice. Can you leave the 5 on that side? See, maybe
Before you do yours, I'll do mine.
Oh, yeah.
Do you do these yourself normally?
The knee raises?
Yeah.
No, not often. I do knee raises on the machine, where you have your elbows sitting on the machine.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a lot of hanging knee raises. Before you arrived this morning, I tried to hang for a bit, and it actually hurt my back, so I wasn't sure if it was going to work.
Does it feel okay?
Yeah, it felt okay,
Okay,
but
perfect.
I think what that's saying is that I need to do more hanging by itself. Yeah.
You got this. Nice.
Yeah, it's frankly, it's just I think with how much I've been boxing, I should have been stretching way more, my back, my shoulders. And the reason I started stretching a lot, you were asking me earlier about the routine, is because my back gets so tight in my traps that I would get migraines like 3 or 4 times in a 6-month period. And it was always from my traps. And
Is that why you get the massages?
yeah, but sometimes the massage is when it triggers it.
Yeah.
Because I know it's coming. I'm like, okay, just massage it out. I'll get a migraine tomorrow, and then I'll be fine.
So it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, but also we can prevent it.
True.
So now we're stretching. And it's like athletes really there's very few athletes that enjoy stretching.
Yeah.
And it's honestly should be part of the training like any other thing.
Well, they call it prehab now, don't they?
Indeed.
Prehab, yeah. So it's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We moved to Figma in the US, but then a big move was moving to the UK with Figma's expansion.
Yeah.
Should we go?
Maybe a little bit lower. I think my arms not as long as yours. Did I do it right?
First of all, we're the wrong way around. Sorry. We need to swap.
Two professionals.
You got on this one. On this one. First of all, how did that opportunity come up with expanding to the UK? And why did you decide that you were going to do it?
Yeah, so when I interviewed for Figma, I remember the CEO, Dylan Field, showed me some stats, and he was like, what do you think this is? And it was like organic growth, and I'd never seen numbers like that. And then the next thing he shared was that 80% of users were outside of the US. So like the international expansion opportunity was massive.
Yeah.
I grew up in Switzerland. I'd been in the US 21 years. And frankly, I think for me, it was time to leave.
Yeah.
And so I think as early as maybe week 2 on my new job, I was like, hey, if you guys ever want to expand internationally, like I'm in. And my manager, Cal Parrish, was like, hey, maybe let's cool our jets. Like we haven't sold anything yet. Like, yeah, fair enough. But the opportunity materialized pretty quickly. About a year later, starting to talk about it. And so, yeah, I raised my hand. I really want to come back. They hired the GM, Pierre Berlin, to come open the office. We interviewed together in San Francisco the week that we went into full lockdown during COVID.
Wow.
So he flew in, and then we were like, get into your hotel. Like, we can't meet you anymore. And and I was a good fit. I really liked Pierre, his energy, his mindset. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I moved over, and we hired the first 4 people to join the team. And yeah, the rest is kind of history.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, first 5 people.
Nice.
Fact, yeah.
How much you benching?
I'm gonna warm up here. Yeah. What do you need?
So I will put the 20 on top of the 5.
Okay.
So we'll do the bench here, and then it's into.
Yeah, reverse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'll do. You do your first set then, if you're doing the 5s.
Okie doke.
So we'll call this the first working set, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's go.
Or we can, whatever you prefer. Can be a warm up. Can be first.
Make it first. Maybe just do more reps.
Yeah.
Do you bench much?
Nope. But I do a lot of
You
push-ups.
chose bench.
Say again?
You chose to do bench today, so I was thinking maybe she benches a lot.
No, but I like benching. I don't know, it's I get a lot of pleasure out of the exercise itself. So I was like, why not? I need to get back into it. I do a lot of push-ups.
Yeah, okay.
To try to.
Don't forget your rows.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's a superset.
Yeah. It's like, less talking, please. Coach Niall, I see you. How many? 8?
10. See if you can bring your legs a little bit further out. Walk them. Yeah.
Woo!
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going for 8 probably.
Nice.
All right.
Nice. I'll do mine. How many do you do?
8. But at 5, so, with a grain of salt. Nice.
I need to do this exercise more. I quite like it. So not only did you move to a new country and part of an expansion, you went from IC to leader, right?
So I'd moved into enterprise management before moving here.
All right, okay.
But I was 6 months into the role when I moved, so yeah, I was quite new.
Still new.
Yeah.
What was that like? So we always talk about, we've had a few people in here speak around that journey from IC to leadership, and we were just speaking off air, I think it was, around being friends. I guess there was an IC, you're the AE, it's friends, and then you go into leadership position.
Yeah.
But I imagine it was a bit different for you because obviously your IC team was in the US.
Yeah, before I moved into enterprise management, I became a team lead, and that was a bit of an intermediary position to get into management.
Got it.
And so we were a pretty small team, we're 4, I think. And transitioning from the IC to the team lead was already a bit challenging because all of a sudden I was running the team meetings, I was driving the KPIs with the team, even though ultimately it was my manager's responsibility. Like a lot of that was delegated onto me. And so I did have to switch a little bit from peer into more of that management mindset. And frankly, it was pretty challenging. For me as a player, I was always like, I don't need to be captain. Tell me what to do, where to go. I was a very instinctual player. Mm-hmm. So half the time, if you ask me, why did you do that? I'd be like, there was a gap, I went for the gap type of thing. And I prefer to lead through my actions. So moving into that, I always wanted to be in a management position, but it was a challenge for sure. Mm-hmm. I think once you have to, take a step back, be more of that leader in terms of setting the right expectations, the right culture, the right actions with the team, etc., and not being as involved. I mean, I mentioned I went to one party as a manager, and it was such an awkward experience. Mm-hmm. And that was tough because I like to be on the ground with people. I like to be involved, etc. But moving here was different because we hired the team brand new, and it was COVID, so we were all at home. We didn't meet for months. Everything was done over Zoom, and so it was actually maybe a good thing for me in the end to have to switch into a management position in that capacity. But it's tough. I mean, then you're like, my first hire was the first person I had to let go. Oh, wow. So super amazing track record. And in fact, I cut a corner in the hiring process. I mentioned that, I don't like cutting corners, and just to move quickly, we eliminated a demo. And it just ended up backfiring. And at the time, the CEO had been like, sure, you can do it, but if it doesn't work out, it's on you. And it was on me. And that was a big learning moment. So moving to Europe, didn't cut corners anymore. My manager, Pierre, is the one who ultimately hired that team. But I learned a lot from that process. Yeah. We co-created the hiring process together. I loved how he brought me in, and he was like, hey, you've been here a long time. How do you think about it? And then, of course, he added his experience onto it, and we created a process that was then introduced globally because it was quite effective. Nice. And we hired an amazing team. Just randomly met up with a few on the street at lunch, and two of them get promoted into management positions. So it's great to see that the people that you took a bet on, it paid off in the end. So
I may have to take some tips from you on that because I think hiring is difficult, and I think creating a system and a process that can be repeated is something that I'm looking to do myself. So I think that's it's obviously a game changer, right?
Indeed. I'll tell you more about it in 3 reps.
How many more?
2.
1 more. Nice. Straight in.
But it's really about having a clear vision, right, on who you want to bring in, the profiles, the skills, and the culture you want to build. And I always joke like hiring is like going on 4 dates and then making a proposal. And so like you'd never go on 4 dates and be like, let's get married.
I'm guessing the dates to the interviews.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm only in 2 of those.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come on. Nice. Nice, Nathalie. 1 more?
Yep.
Good work.
Nice challenge.
So we'll make this the last set of the bench. What we'll do is we'll skip it was bent over row.
Okay.
And shoulder press. Okay. How many? 8?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Hey, halfway. All right, last one. Nice. Too easy.
Today's rest day.
Nice.
It's supposed to be anyway. Cool, we'll leave it there. Let's grab a row each.
What a blessing. I was worried that we wouldn't have time for these. Have you noticed I try to talk as much as possible?
Yeah, I noticed you was trying to. You do 12, I'll do 15 calories. Okay, cool. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Head.
rest style.
Nice. Good work. Nice. That wasn't too bad.
Sorry. Enough that I told you, rows in lunges, and we finish on rows in lunges.
I'll put it that way.
Oh, I got you.
Sweep the sheds, right?
Yeah.
The reason I said that is because you've got one more thing to come.
Last time you were seen alive.
Before we end, it's been a great episode with Nathalie, but as everyone knows, the max ski test has to be done by everybody. It's 30 seconds, as hard as you can. You ready, Nathalie?
I'm ready as I will be.
So, the leaderboard should be coming up on the screen right now. The top is 17 calories by Louis Kouachi, episode 4, I believe.
30 minutes.
30 seconds.
30 minutes, 30 seconds.
Right, so as hard as you can. 30 seconds. You ready?
Was this on the workout you sent me?
Yeah, of course. Should I count you in? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Nice, good pace, good pace. Good pace, come on. Can you pull any harder? Can you get this to 1.5? Come on. Good, Nathalie, come on, pull, keep pulling. Good. Halfway done. 10 seconds left. Pull. Let's get it to at least 10, come on. Come on. Nice work.
19?
That's nice. Have a look. Got 9 calories.
Yeah.
Nice work.
9's my favorite number. So that's why we stopped there.
Well, look, as you can see, we're getting kicked out of the gym. Everyone's ready to come in. So we're going to end the episode there. Nathalie, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I'm looking forward to everyone seeing this episode. Like, comment and subscribe. Sweat the Sales stuff. See you in the next one.